I was 8 years old. I asked the judge, how do I get my dad out of jail? The judge looked at me and said, if you want to get your dad out, you have to become a judge. And so I started studying about the law. And one of the things that I read was the original 13th Amendment of the Constitution, which is now no longer in the Constitution. But the original 13th Amendment says that an attorney or a lawyer cannot hold any public office. It's illegal for attorney work. And basically, I explained in my paperwork that everybody in the courtroom has a financial interest in this case. And that it's actually, and why is that? Because they take your bonds in all the case and they trade them on their private stock market. And then you can actually look up the trades of those bonds using what's called a Cashapp report. It stands for the Committee of Uniform Security Identification Procedure.
Whoa, 1 second. You're saying when you go to jail, you're in jail or prison that you're traded like a stock? Is that what you just said or no?
Yes. And they use your social security number to create those bonds. I can prove it too because I have my father's Cashapp report. So I have the report of how much they traded it for. They traded it for $7.42 billion over the 15 years that he was in prison. And so that, and they do that with all the cases. And so I wrote to the judge, I said, sir, I noticed that all this money was created off of capital gain, but no capital gains taxes were filed. So I need to know who's responsible for doing the taxes and how much you made, how much the sheriff made, how much the clerk made, how much the district attorney made. I need to know where all the money went. I need a full forensics accounting. And when I did that, I gave all the paperwork to the clerk and I said, I need you to please give this to the judge so he can read it. And I wrote him a private letter that says, please have your accountant prepare the 1099 OID and all the accounting revolving around these bonds. And she's like, you want to give, she had never had anybody ask her to give anything to the judge. And I was like, yes, if you could please do that. And she said, okay. And she was real sweet. She went to the back, gave the judge the paperwork. And then the clerk opened up the door. And then I said, excuse me, ma'am, are you the clerk of the court? She said, yes, I am. I say, I need you to please take this. And I gave her a letter that said the same thing. Dear clerk, please prepare the accounting for these bonds. And her eyes got real big and she waddled her fat butt to the back of the courtroom as fast as she could and gave the judge that stuff. And the judge comes out sweating going, who wrote this letter? I will not allow violence in this courtroom. And I go, Judge, what violence? And he says, you can't represent your father. You're not a licensed attorney. And I go, well, sir, that's strange because I have never heard of an attorney's license in my life. In fact, I even called the licensing commissioner. They offer driver's license, mortgage licenses, real estate licenses, but no license to practice law. I asked them for it and they don't have it. So if you could show me your license to practice law, then I will be able to determine whether I'm a licensed attorney or not. And he got super angry and said nothing. And I said, sir, are we in a court of record today? And he was dead quiet. Meanwhile, all the attorneys are like standing next to me like, hey, you little kid, I don't think you know what's going on. Like, why don't you come outside here and talk to me like you don't know? Da, 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 da. And I just look at him and I go, look, hey, I don't have look, he's the one keeping my dad in jail, not y'all. So I don't really want to talk to you guys. I'm trying to get this settled. And I asked the judge, sir, for the third and final time, is this a court of record? I want it on the record that the judge is not responding to my very simple questions, if this is a court of record or not. And when I do that, he clicks the panic button underneath the desk. The bailiffs drag me out of the courthouse, and they bring my dad into court, and they go, Russ, we'll let you go if you promise not to do it again. And my dad hadn't seen me since I was 10 years old, and he didn't even know I was there. So he was just all like, yeah, Judge, I promise. I'm like, yeah, I won't do it again. And they release him. And I was like, I knew this was real. And so once that happened, I dedicated my life to figuring out a way to incorporate that knowledge with the spiritual knowledge that I already knew. And so you're definitely correct that it's actually purely financial. They actually consider your body warehouse goods and file liens and store your body in a warehouse, and they monetizing it using the General Service Administration. They file a bid bond, a performance bond, and a payment bond with the General Service Administration, Standard Form 93, 94, and 95. And then they get you to pay commissary, right? And they make it all, it's all money. You have like you have a CID number. They threw me in jail one time for revealing this knowledge. They gave me a debit card. They called it a debit card, and they named me, I was part of the trustee program, right? So like the trustees, and I was doing work and all that stuff. And you had to pay for everything. You know, there's always attorney's fees, court costs, all these things, and they traded on the private system called the Court Registry Investment System. And so if you want to get out of a court case, just send a affidavit of questionnaire to the judge and to the attorneys, and just ask them, under penalty of perjury, do you have a financial interest in this case? Yes or no? If it's yes, you must recuse yourself. If it's no, then you've perjured yourself. The IRS will find out about it, and you will go to prison. That's how you stop court cases.
Man, guys, I mean, come on, man. You can't tell me you're not impressed right now, and also appalled. How many of y'all's jaws dropped when you found out that we're getting traded like cattle, or whatever you want to call it, in jail? And also, we now, man. By the time this live is over, you're gonna have 10 nicknames. We got my cousin Vinny over here.